So today we're going to talk about the ImmersionRC Powerplay. It's this product here. It was released about a month ago, and I've been meaning to get around to making a video about it because it's something that I really like. And just for a little bit of drone inception, you can currently see this drone plugged in right below me, connected to the goggles. But you know what? I'm not going to wear these through the whole video, so I just don't want to deal with that. But anyway, I want to talk about the Powerplay and what it is and why I'm excited about it. Before I go any further, I just want to mention that if you don't want to watch this whole video, you can go and see an entire condensed version written out with pictures and comments and all that stuff on my website in the description below. For those of you that do like videos, stay on. We're going to keep going. So essentially the Powerplay is a standalone DVR replacement for your Fat Shark goggles. So it's basically just this. It's a little box that has in the back two 18500 batteries. These are not 18650s, they're the smaller version, the 18500s, and I've got a special version that was designed for the X-Lite in mind. It has an SD card slot, so you can run an SD card. Then it has an AV input and a power. So essentially all it is a DVR. Like that's the end-all be-all goal. If you learned one thing from this video, it's a DVR. But it's a little bit more than that, and I kind of want to talk about why. So first of all, it serves as a battery replacement for your Fat Shark goggles. So traditionally, you have a goggle battery, and then you have the DVR in the actual Fat Shark. So that SD card that you always pull in and out in the actual Fat Sharks is powered by that battery. But as we know, Fat Shark batteries are kind of a pain. You have to have a bunch of them. So this actually can replace them. There's a power cable that goes straight from this into your goggles. And then it also becomes a power switch. So if I hold down this power button here, which is right there on top, this comes on and it starts sending power out of this module, and that in turn powers the goggles. And when I'm ready to power off the goggles, I hold the button, screen turns off, and the goggles turn off. That's a pretty cool feature. For whatever reason, Fat Shark has decided not to give us a power button in the latest generation of HDO, though HD2 is about to come out, and I believe it does have a power button. But just be aware that this is an excellent feature for those of you that have always wanted power buttons like myself. The DVR itself records in 60 frames per second. So the information that you get back across analog video is playing into your goggles at around 60 frames per second. It's not true 60 frames per second. There's some different kinds of formats that have been playing, but you can assume that it's roughly 60 FPS, and it records it in H.264. Now that's a really complicated way of saying most computers can use it. Most computers, your phone, Mac or Windows, you're not going to have to do any kind of transcoding to be able to upload your footage. So when I'm at a race, I record it on here, pop my SD card out, plug it into my phone, and upload it straight to Instagram. That allows me to share that 60 FPS H.264 goodness and creates for a much better viewing experience on the behalf of the user. I know 60 FPS doesn't sound like it's that exciting, but believe me when I say watching DVR at 60 FPS instead of 30 FPS looks way smoother. That being said, something else I want to add on is that this video, I'm actually filming it in 60 FPS so that when I play DVR footage over top of it, it's also playing at 60 FPS for you on YouTube. I almost always film at 30, so it's a little bit weird. If it's a little bit weird to you to look at this, I apologize. I'm going to walk you through the menu options really quick. So once you power it on, it has a little bit of a loading screen, and then pushing the green button on top opens up the menu. You can click playback and you can navigate through your movies. If you click into one, using the scroll wheel right or left, fast forwards or rewinds the video. And then hitting that green button again navigates you back out of those menu. If you go to the record menu, you can choose what type of recording you're going to have. You can do manual loop, auto, or auto loop. Manual just means that you start and stop it yourself. Auto means as soon as it powers on, it automatically starts recording. And then the loop section is that it's going to overwrite the oldest file and kind of start again from the beginning, kind of like a car dash cam. And finally, you can format your SD card. In addition, there's a general menu, and under there you can set the clock so that like the timestamp aligns with other cameras that you have. You can turn the beeps on and off and reset and check out the firmware version and all that. One of the biggest questions that I had when I saw it was, how are you going to wear it? By default, there's a piece that comes with it that I'm calling the holster. It's this plasticky bit that's on the back of the goggles that the Powerplay clicks into. So you just set it in there and it's attached to the goggles. Now, Immersion's goal for it was that it would go on the back of your head. So you would put it on the back of the strap and then have the Powerplay like behind your head on the goggles. Now, I didn't like that idea very much. I wanted it to be in the normal spot for the DVR. So I actually modified my goggles by cutting out the extra loop for the battery and then mounting my holster over top of that loop, and it actually fits very comfortably. I know this looks really big and bulky, but you don't really notice the weight on your head. I've asked a few different people to wear my goggles and say, hey, what do you think? Is this really annoying? Is this bothering you? And they all said, no, it's fine. It's the same as wearing a normal goggle. Then just plug in both, and I can hold this power button on, and as soon as it comes on, the goggles in turn come on there. So now I have full DVR recording. I'm powering the goggles. It's all on a switch. It's kind of a little bit long of a cable. Maybe there's a solution to that. And now the DVR has started recording automatically. So for me, the way that I like to have it is to have it on the side of my head. So this allows me, when I'm flying with friends or when I'm flying at a race or I'm doing long range, people can spot for me, right? So during a race, I want to have somebody watch my footage and kind of give me position updates and things like that. Somebody can stand right next to me and look at my goggles. The same is true for long range. When I'm flying out in the mountains, I want somebody else to kind of take a look at my DVR and say,
I want to turn your head to the right slightly. Well, that was a little more than slight.
Hey, you're about to go behind a cliff, or hey, you're going to cause yourself some trouble if you keep on that path. This allows them to just quickly look and see what I'm seeing. You also have the ability to take the pack off. They come with a longer cable that you can use to run it down into your pocket. I'm not a pocket battery guy. I like to have everything in one collection. And another thing that people have been doing is taking this whole pack and mounting it as part of their neck strap for their radio and using this holster and clicking it there. And then the cable, a little bit longer cable, would run from here to here. And that is their way of mounting it for that people to see. And then again, there's parts that come with this to put it on the back of your head if that's the way you want to go with it. But I'm really tall. I'm always wearing a hat and I lean my chin down a little bit when I fly. So like nobody would be able to see it because I'm tall and my hat's in the way and everything, so it just doesn't work. One of the reasons that I love having the DVR as a separate piece from the goggles is the convenience factor. So for example, say that I'm at a race, I am doing okay, but I want to review my DVR footage. I can just take this off, which I wouldn't normally do while I'm wearing my goggles, and I can start doing playback right here. I can play my race footage back, I can watch it, I can rewind, fast forward, all that stuff without having to constantly like put my goggles on and off. The same is true for people that do long range. So people that do long range, if you lose your quad, you want to have your DVR with you so you can kind of rewind and fast forward and figure out roughly where your quad crashed. Now, rather than bringing your whole set of goggles with you while you're hiking through, the mountains trying to find your quad, you just have this little piece pocketable, ready to be able to look and review your footage. And I think that that's both of those circumstances are really powerful for those two types of people. Some of the downsides of the Powerplay include things like the battery life. The 18500 packs are awesome for what they are, but there's just not quite enough juice to power this, its DVR, and your goggles. It'll last me for maybe 15 flights. We're talking like 2 hours worth of flying before I need to swap them again. But I carry with me into the field, hold on, wait for it. I carry a handful of the 18500 batteries with me so that I always have some extra to swap in. So as soon as I start to see the battery get low, I just swap it over and I don't have to worry about it as much. Now, is that ideal? No, but does it work pretty effectively for the tool? Yeah, it's all right. One of my recommendations for this product in the future would be to switch this up to the 18650 model. This box here is like the Fat Shark designed version to just hold 18650s, and you can see that they're actually already pretty much the same size. So I think if this does not bother me on my head, why would it bother me if it was a little bit wider? So I just want to see the larger size batteries added into this and then be able to power both my goggles and these at the same time, because we can cram a lot more milliamp hours in there. Other slightly negative things is that, yeah, it is a little bit more boxy. There's a little bit more weight on your head, and the cables that come with it are probably a little bit too long to be mounting it right here on the side of your head instead of on the back or in your pocket or whatever. But you know what? I've been playing around with it for probably a month now. I've used it for races, I've used it for long range, I've used it for normal freestyle, and it's always come in handy. Whether I'm working on a quad on the bench, which I think is one of my favorite features for it, because I can just have this sitting out with my goggles plugged in, and I'm, you know, fiddling with OSD or checking video, all that stuff is really convenient. But at the same time, you know, it's always been a tool to help me with something in the field. So whether I'm tuning into someone else's quad at a race, I'm tuning into my own feed so people can watch, I'm fixing quads, whatever it is, this has been an awesome tool for that. So to sum everything up that we're talking about, I think that this is not a tool for everyone, right? There are people who just don't care about having their DVR recorded, and for you, you should not have this, right? It is a DVR first and foremost. But for people like me that want to do content creation, that want to share some flights, that want to do long range, that want to have spotters in races, I think that it's one of the best tools possible to accomplish all of those jobs at the same time. So, you know, there are some downsides to it, like the battery life, which, I mean, you could just run it over here and put the battery on this side. I don't know. There's definitely solutions for it. I'm willing to suffer the low battery life in exchange for just carrying a couple more batteries and the rest of the features that it provides. The convenience of being able to pop that SD card out, put it in my phone, and immediately upload to Instagram or whatever is super awesome. To be able to review my footage while I'm sitting there at a race is incredible. This works very well in sunlight. And then just having everything kind of pulled together into that all-in-one solution is awesome to me. I love having that go-to solution, just one setup for my entire goggles. If I could do it correctly, upside down. Just carrying these around just like this, with the power switch, with the DVR. You can run bigger cards. That's something I didn't think about. I run a 128 gigabyte SD card in here, so I never run out of DVR room ever, which I don't think will work with your Fat Sharks. But all that together, this is something that has been added to my gear, and it is now a core piece of my gear, and I wanted to share that with you. So if it's something you're interested in purchasing, I've included affiliate links as always. If you're not interested in purchasing, please leave a comment why. And if you already have one, tell me what you're liking, what you're not liking, and I'm really excited to hear what you guys have to think. So in the meantime, thanks for checking out this product. Thanks for checking out this review. I've got a whole web page dedicated to all of this stuff if you don't want to listen to it now that you already have. And in the meantime, stay flying.